I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we're diving into a fascinating journey of health, faith, and transformation. The name of the book, The Carnivore Diet From Skeptic to Believer, designed for seniors. We're talking to two terrific authors today, Anne and Jean Del Vecchio. And in the book, they explain how embracing a meat-based diet can help combat inflammation, improve cognition function, and restore vitality, especially for seniors who are seeking a second wind in life. We're delighted to have these very talented authors joining us here today. And we'd like to thank the team at Atticus Publishing for putting them on television today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like them by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing their amazing book. The links are below this interview. Anne and Jean, thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us, Logan.
It's great
Yes.
to have you on the show. Jean, I'll start with you because I understand you were the driving force behind this book creation. Why are you such a believer in the carnivore diet?
Well, our nephew, Dennis, down in California, has been on it for years, and he's been trying to get Anne on the diet. And in listening to him, I thought, I have chronic arthritis in my shoulders, and I was overweight. And I thought, well, this might help me too. So when he kept pounding away at Anne to get on it, she didn't want to, but I said, if I do it, will you do it? And she'll tell you the rest of his story, Dennis's story on how it transformed him. And it turned into the motivating factor for both Anne and I that put us over the top.
Amazing. I've heard so many stories about people's lives being transformed where they had high blood sugar, they were pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetic, and it came down. And tell us a little bit about Dennis and his inspiring story that inspired you to write this book.
Okay. Well, we owned a fast food restaurant, and Denny started working for us when he was 14
When we were in California.
and we're all the way through to when he started his own tile company and started laying tile. And so I was talking to him on the phone one day and telling him about how in my 70s, I started to develop more weight gain, and I'd always been skinny and very active skiing and dancing and hiking and always cooking whole foods at home. We had a fast food so that we had all the bad stuff, and then when at home we had all the good stuff. And I was always interested in nutrition because I had a foods minor in college, creative writing major, foods minor. And anyway, we were on the phone that day, and I was complaining that I was having a hard time getting up when I was sitting down in a chair. And lots of times I needed people to come and help me up. And I finally got a button, because if I fell, I couldn't get up. And he said, Aunt Anne, you should go on the carnivore diet. It's just a straight meat diet, and I've been on it for a long time now. And all my aches and pains of 25 years laying tile have vanished. And I lost 50 pounds, and you should do it. And want to hear my response? No way. It's not healthy. I'm not doing it, and you should get off of it right now.
And believe you, I mean, because you worry about cholesterol, triglycerides, and
Yes.
all of that stuff, because we've been told that meat is bad, especially red meat.
Yes.
I can understand why you were a skeptic. And Gene, what did you make of all of this?
Well, that's when she said no way. I said, well, come on, let's give it a try. Will you do it if I do it? And of course, we jumped into it, and we
Well,
went.
not first. Not at first.
Not
We
at
didn't
first.
no, not
That's
first.
right.
No.
I wanted to.
I was very suspicious, and I said, okay, I'll think about it, but I'm going to do some research. So I started just searching all over the internet. I started listening to all these advocates. Some of them were sports specialists, many of them were doctors, nutritionists, and I was just, Denny sent me everything. And I was listening hours and hours and seeking it out. It was a winter, so it was snow. I wasn't outside a lot, so that's what I did. And I began to think, wait, there's something to say about this. And so that's when I began to change my mind a little and say, well, maybe it's worth a try.
Amazing. So what's it been like? Jean, let me ask you, what has it been like eating primarily meats? You have some fruits and some vegetables and primarily meats. How does it work?
Well, the first 90 days or more, we were just strict carnivore.
Mm.
And that was great. I lost 23 pounds
Wow.
of belly fat. My energy bounced back. But more important of all, I have a really bad arthritic shoulder, and the pain, I was taking Tylenol and Motrin, anytime, 3 days a week at least. The pain was so bad. The pain, inflammation just ceased, and that was the greatest part. Also, I'm a cancer survivor, and I every 3 months I have to go for blood tests. And in this whole time, that cholesterol thing popped up, and my cholesterol really hasn't changed that much. As a matter of fact, my good cholesterol now outweighs the bad cholesterol. And it's sort of the first thing we noticed in some of the research is they sort of the experts say they balance out. So that answered the cholesterol question. And I'll let Anne answer the other stuff right now that she found out.
So everything's said, and there's still, if you AI carnivore diet, it's going to pop up about the bad cholesterol increase that happens. And yes, that does. It did for me. Didn't for Jean, but it did for me. And the doctor said, well, you shouldn't do this. My medical doctor said you shouldn't do this. But I thought, no, I'm going to give it a try. So I kept on doing it. And I'm not a medical person, so I can't recommend that either way or offer any opinion about it. All I can go on is my own personal testimony.
And
And
the research you did with the studies that you found.
yeah. Yes. Let me tell you, let me mention the studies. I have a Harvard study of over 2,000 participants found that 84% on an average of diabetics were able to go off their medicines. And that is at the last 6 months test, a blood test. I did it on purpose to see how I was doing because I have so many medical issues.
Mm.
And she said, "Way, you're way below what you need to be. You're not even on. You're just way down to low pre-diabetic again." And I said, "Well, can I go off the metformin?" And she said, "Well, we can give it a try, and then we'll have to test out because remember, she's not pro carnivore."
Right.
And then the 2019 survey by Rivero of 12,000 participants. Now, these were just the participants telling them, reporting on what the effects were. But they said 91 to 96 mentioned an improvement in all diseases, gastrointestinal conditions, skin disorders, and mental health problems. And I forget, did I tell you what the effects of my using it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think I did. So for me,
I was supposed to segue into that. We've been practicing, but if it's not perfect practice, it's not perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So are you off your metformin now that you've started being on this carnivore diet?
Yes,
Wow.
I'm off the metformin.
And your blood sugar's below pre-diabetic level?
Yes. It's still pre-diabetic, but it's below. And all of my family get diabetes at this stage. So I've been thinking about that. But even more than that, I would wake up. My brain has always been pretty healthy. That's why I can do all the things I do. But I would wake up about 3 mornings a week with brain fog, and I just couldn't get it together. And I'd say, "Jean, put 3 tea bags in my teapot because I just need something to get me going." And I was missing words, as is common for somebody in their late 70s. And that cleared up totally for me. So I don't have serious dementia, but it's the beginning little pieces. And that just
You guys seem like you're great. I don't think you have many You don't look like you have many health issues. So whatever
I
you're doing right. I know, Anne, you say you do, but you look great, you sound
thank
great, you act great. And that's the bottom line is how do you look, how do you sound, how do you feel, right?
right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, Gene, what's a typical day? What will you have for breakfast? What will you have for lunch? What will you have for dinner?
We always meet. Anne has made in her cookbook. She's made it exciting because she discovered it. She could start to blend ketovore diet with carnivore. After the 90 days, we started, she'll tell you, she researched a lot about what foods are inflammatory, what are not. So she started adding it back in. And what our normal diet is always meat based. Sometimes we have two entrees like a fish and a steak, or sausage and chicken patties, fake chicken bread made with chicken, or bread with mozzarella and pepperoni slices. It's always meat. We can mix dairy. Dairy is an animal product, so
If you can tolerate
yeah,
that. And
yogurt,
eggs.
yogurt in the morning with berries, eggs, always eggs, bacon, 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 bacon. And lots of meat. The more meat, the merrier. Like I'll eat 3/4 pound patties at every sitting, maybe more. Sometimes, like hot dogs and hamburgers, I'll have 3/4 pound burgers and 3 hot dogs for my
Amazing.
dinner or something. So,
Amazing.
Anne will tell you about the inflammation, non-inflammatory veggies and stuff that she's mixed in
So you add
because
berries and other things to your food, Anne?
Yes. Um, when I was doing my research, I also researched anti-inflammatory fruits and vegetables because the life on scripture, and God gave every seed-bearing plant and all the fruit of the trees for man to eat, except for one that we know about, for food. And so I wanted to see what was said about the anti-inflammatory foods. And there's 18 anti-inflammatory fruits and vegetables, starting with berries as being the highest anti-inflammatory fruit, and then dark leafy greens being the second. And we had a neighbor who was growing a garden, a big garden in our backyard, that was growing lots of cucumbers and
chard, kale was real.
kale. And so we started one item at a time to see if it increased our inflammation. And fresh, organic, and we weren't having any problem with that at all. And it was doing fine. And then I discovered that there was already a diet called ketovore, which uses limited ketogenic items.
Mhm.
And so we rotate from carnivore when our inflammation increases to ketovore when we are doing well. And sometimes he's on more ketovore than
And,
I am, and I'm on more
and,
ketovore.
and formed a new word, ketovore, and that's what I like, ketovore. You
Oh
can
boy,
have,
that's wild. Well, I know what I'm going to have.
instead
I
of
know what I'm
just
going to
stick.
have for lunch today. I'm going to have a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. Hold the
All right.
bread, hold the lettuce, hold the tomato, and just give me the bacon. That's
I love
Yeah,
it.
well,
that would be great.
keto is great because it kind of builds in. I'll let Ann tell you about it. It builds in and allows for cheat functions, sort of. Now,
No.
no, well, we have to confess, we had a tragedy this summer. Our nephew, who was only 50 years old, died of a sudden heart attack. So we
Oh,
had to fly down to California. We're there. It was a big funeral, and they had a wonderful wake, no host bar, and a buffet. And I stuck to my carnivore with the meat, but I went crazy on desserts. I want to tell you, I must have had 4 chocolate brownies and lemon cake, and then wine, and then the next day, Anne was asked to make a big pan of apple crisp,
a big pan
for-
of it,
Wow.
Chris.
well, that weekend we went off the rails. Within 48 hours, I was back on Tylenol, ibuprofen.
Amazing.
I was lethargic,
Amazing.
and that was a really bad cheat. So
Yeah.
when she came up with Cheetavore, it started to allow.
Actually, I read that somewhere, but
Yeah,
I like the
it
name.
allowed for, and her research with inflammatory foods, it allowed us to some freedom to add in and get back on quickly, because that's important, especially for seniors, not to feel that they're just driven to stick to this straight thing, because we're all human and we'll cheat. And then what
Exactly.
happens?
Who doesn't want apple crumble from time to time? Guys, we are out of time, but let me remind the folks at home about the book. The name of the book is The Carnivore Diet, From Skeptic to Believer, designed for seniors. It is written by AnneMDelVecchio. She joined us today along with her wonderful husband, Gene, who was the driving force behind this. It is a refreshing, faith-driven approach to health that proves it's never too late to take control of your well-being. Anne and Gene, thank you both so much for joining me here today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Logan.
Great. Wish you well.
I wish you guys both well, and you're doing well. Keep it up. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.